Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Jay Cartere, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing House of Cards Season 4 Episode 4. Now, wow, this was a great episode. A lot of things happened, a lot of big things happened. This is going to lead to a lot of tension. It's really mad right about now. It's really mad. And without getting into the spoiler section yet, all I can say is it was a great episode. I was waiting for something like this to happen. Oh my god. Yeah. It was great. It was a lot of, well, let me not say action, but a lot of big plot points happened, and it was just an overall great episode, and I'm really looking forward to continuing the series at this point right now. I think episode 4 is a real turning point in the season. Considering the first 3 episodes are kind of slow. They were good, but episode 4 is when like shit really goes down. So now let me get into the spoiler section where I can actually discuss the plot points that happened in this episode. So I've got my notes again, but instead of like Seth versus Frank right about now, it's Seth and Lucas versus Frank, because the plot points have become intertwined, and a lot of madness went down, so that's why it's a bit weird now. But so Seth and Lucas versus Frank. Here's what I wrote down basically. Doug's investigation on Seth digs up no results, but he remains suspicious. And Seth continues to accuse Meacham, which is fucking dumb. Why are you still accusing Meacham? Like, this is the most trusted low person in the fucking camp, and you're accusing this guy of doing something that you done. It would have been better if you just didn't accuse anyone. Then he wouldn't look so guilty. So obviously Frank and Doug still don't trust Seth. And it seems like Frank's relationship with Meacham is as close as ever, because he draws Meacham's hand on the wall where a piece of art used to be. It's very touching and whatnot. But that happens. And then Seth meets with Dunbar's campaign manager again. So he's still up to no good. He's still betraying Frank and trying to do all this bullshit. And then she tells Seth about Lucas Goodwin. After that, Dunbar starts researching into Lucas Goodwin's claims. I told you that was going to happen before. And she asked the Attorney General to look into Lucas's story. And then she admits to the Attorney General that she met with Lucas Goodwin, which is a breach of WITSEC protocols. So I think with this information, Frank might be able to do some finessing later on and get Dunbar into trouble, because she met with Lucas Goodwin. And at this point, I was like, okay, you shouldn't have told this woman that happened, because this woman works for the president and she might betray you at any point. So I think she's planting the seeds for her defeat right about now. And then after that, Frank decides to embrace the protesters outside one of his rallies. And then at this point, I was like, oh my God, you know what? I think something wild's going to go down. I think that I'm going to see Lucas in the crowd, and he's going to say something to Frank, and then Frank's going to see him, and then it's going to be a madness, innit? But never did I think that Lucas would have just backed at the strap and started shooting, which is exactly what Lucas done. He came out of the crowd and he started shooting. And at this point, Frank got shot. He got shot in the arm and his liver, and also Meacham got shot, and Meacham died, unfortunately. But apparently Meacham killed Lucas before he died. So I guess something kind of good came out of it, because then they can't really question Lucas, because that would be really terrible if they did question. But it is the word of a murderer, so it couldn't be that hurtful. They'd be able to finesse it some way. After that, obviously, they took out 3/4 of Frank's liver, which is mad. Apparently, the liver can regenerate itself in like 4 to 6 weeks, I think. Or maybe it was 4 to 6 months. I don't fully remember. I'm hoping it's not 4 to 6 months, because I don't want Frank to be out for that long. But yeah, he is out right about now. He's in the hospital. He's in critical condition. I don't think he's going to die. I don't think that's even a possibility, so I'm not even going to entertain that fact. I think he's definitely going to live. But I have seen the British version of House of Cards, in which the guy did die, so that might happen. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen the British version of House of Cards. Um, it's great though. I watched it when season 2 just came out. No, when I finished watching season 2 of this House of Cards, and then I was fiending for some more House of Cards, so I watched that. But anyways, yeah, it was reported on the news that the shooter was Lucas Goodwin. So that that's probably gonna open up some wounds that Frank doesn't want to be opened up right about now, because he's trying to run for the presidency again, and it's not going well for him. And Dunbar's researching into this. She's told the Attorney General about this shit, so anything can happen. And Seth knows about this guy, so I think that some shit on Lucas is gonna come out. People are gonna do some more investigations about Lucas. But yeah, let me get on to the next plot point before I give you guys all my I forgot what the word for it is, but basically we're on Claire and Russia versus Frank. So Frank decides to try and hire Leanne in order to get Claire to back down on her attempt to become vice president, which doesn't really pan out for him, because Leanne shows Seth's focus groups to Claire, which basically show that people aren't happy with Claire being the vice president and whatnot, but Leanne remains loyal to her. After that, Claire asks her to deliver a letter to Frank. It's a statement saying that Claire is filing for divorce. And then when Frank gets this, he says, nah, I'm not having it. And he issues a lockdown, putting Claire under house arrest and scrambling her signal, basically. I think there was like a radio jammer outside. And then he said there's a threat on her life, so she couldn't come out. So at this point, I'm thinking Claire's obviously pissed off at him. Like, you really don't want to give Claire opportunity to do any bullshit right about now. But obviously, Doug wasn't thinking this, and you'll find out why later on. But basically, Frank put his plan to aid Petrov's enemies in action. His Secretary of State vehemently disagreed multiple times. She was like, nah, don't do this. This is terrible. You're going to antagonize Russia. This is not what we want to do right about now. But Frank was like, nah, I'm going to do it. Fuck off. Well, he didn't say fuck off, but he might as well have said it, to be honest. And then Milkin is put on a plane and sent to link up with the other conspirators. But then as this happens, that's when Frank got shot. So he wasn't able to actually put the plan into action and get it fully done before before he got shot in it. So at this point, Donald Blythe becomes acting president, and then like Doug's telling him to go with what Frank said to do, and the Secretary of State, I forgot what her name is. I really don't remember her name. I think it begins with K, but she's basically telling him not to do it because she disagrees with it. It's going to be terrible to anger Russia, especially with Frank incapacitated. And then Doug asks Claire to persuade Donald to go with Frank's plan with the Russians. And obviously, when I saw this, I was like, come on. Why would you ask Claire to do this? Claire is a oily, snaky gal. Like, you don't want to be telling her to, you don't want to be putting her in a position of any power to get anyone to do anything, because she's just going to try and further her own ends. And that's exactly what she done. Claire instead tells Donald not to go through with either options given to him. The options given to him was to either land the plane where it was supposed to go, or bring it back to like the US where it was before in it. And she tells him not to do either. And instead, Donald comes out and decides to tell them to land the plane in China, which is mad. And I think that's gonna create a madness, basically. And I'm really looking forward to what happens. It's gonna be really exciting, especially to see what Russia does, to see what China does actually, because China are fucking, like, I swear they're super villains in the House of Cards. I swear season 2 it was all about China and their bullshit. So yeah, it's a bit mad. But basically, my questions here. Oh, and also Claire's mum says that she hoped Frank dies. I thought I'd add that in because that was just a really terrible thing to say. But like everyone in this fucking show is like a bitch or a bastard. Like, they're all terrible people. But yeah, that's what she said. So my 4 questions are, first of all, what is Russia going to do? I have no idea what Russia is going to do. Like, we haven't seen anything from the president for like a couple episodes. We only saw like one little clip of him, and I think that was in episode 2. Or maybe it was in episode 3. I'm not. Nah, it was in episode 2. Yeah. And like we haven't seen anything from him since, so I don't know where his mind's at. I don't know what he's going through, so I really can't predict on that. But I'd love to hear you guys' opinions. Second question is Seth going to look deeper into the Lucas Goodwin case and help out Dunbar or blackmail Frank? I think that Seth will look deeper into Lucas Goodwin case. I think he's gonna dig something up, and I think he seems to already be going with Dunbar, so he's probably going to give that over to Dunbar and then go over there and then... Well, no, that's going to be my fourth question. Let me not give out that prediction yet. So, number 3 is, will anyone else look into the Lucas Goodwin case? For example, the Attorney General. I think she definitely will at this point, because she already heard about this Lucas Goodwin kid from Dunbar. So I think she's going to look into it, and it's going to be really tense for Frank Ryder now, because he can't even come up with a speech and just come out there and attack this head on. Like, it's a really terrible time for him. He's in hospital, so for this to be coming out, it's really not good at all. And my fourth question is, will Frank finesse the situation and make it seem like Dunbar organised the hit on him? And that is what I think is going to happen. I think that Frank is going to finesse the situation, yeah. He's going to chat some shit, and obviously you get the evidence that Dunbar met with Lucas, and that was a breach of the WITSEC program and all that sort of shit. And whatever Seth is trying to use against him, he's gonna like use that in this plan to get Dunbar in the villain spot or whatever. So everyone thinks that she plotted the hit on him, basically. And yeah, I think he's gonna come out on top. But this is still on a downward slope, so maybe he might not. He might just fuck up. He might get arrested at the end of the season. We never know. I don't know if this is his last season. I think it's been... I think there's another season coming out. Like, it's already been picked up, but it's by a different director. So maybe it's about a completely different set of people, but I don't know how that would work out. So I'm totally not sure whatsoever, but this is really interesting. And I'm really intrigued, and I'm having a lot of fun watching this. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Please remember to leave your comments and answer those questions that are asked, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
It's been a cold winter and it's lasted far too long. So all this warmth I share with you.